Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Patrick Lundbom on the line, and he's founder and CEO over at Motoz Digital Media. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, Patrick. So excited to get into Motoz Digital Media a little bit more and get a feel for what you're doing and how you're adding value to your clients. But before we get into that, I'll start this episode off the way we start them all with our Mission Matters Minute. So, Patrick, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. So that's our mission here. Patrick, what mission matters to you?
The mission that matters for me and what we do is making sure our clients' investment in paid media is optimized to the full extent and that we're aligned on their goals and KPIs.
That's awesome. Love bringing mission-based entrepreneurs and executives on the line to share why they do what they do. So, Patrick, let's just dive right in. So tell us a little bit more about Motoz Digital Media.
Motoz Digital Media has been around for about 10 years, and we're primarily focused in performance marketing, or what some people like to call growth marketing these days. We focus in three primary areas of search engine optimization, paid media, which includes paid search, paid social, as well as data analytics.
So how does Motoz Digital Media work specifically to help businesses grow? And I like that you make that distinction, by the way, of what's now called growth marketing, right?
Yeah, it's had many.
What was it before? Was it like non-growth or like stale or just like? I'm just saying. I agree with you, by the way. Like it is called that now, but whenever I hear somebody say it, I'm like, what was it called before?
Doing this for over 20 years, and I think initially it was direct online marketing, performance marketing, growth hacking, growth marketing, so digital marketing, whatever you want to call it. But we find customers and grow our clients' businesses online through both organic and paid tactics.
So what type of clients do you typically find get the most value from working with you and your company? So is there specific industries or niches or like size of companies? Like give me a little bit more on that one.
Yeah, our niches kind of fall into both fintech and edutech, as well as just SaaS software type companies over the last 5 or 6 years. We still work with some startups as well, but typically we work with companies that have been around for a while. They have grown to the point where they're now ready to invest in media. A lot of times they are SaaS businesses that have a fervent or very passionate base of product users. So they've grown, and now there may be a competitor in the market that is spending money in paid marketing. So that's where we come in and we help, one, understand, do you have a clear view of your analytics and reporting? A lot of times that's not the case. To really understand what is your cost per acquisition for a new customer. So sometimes that's building out that view of what is actually what is your lifetime value for a customer? What is your cost for an acquisition? And then, understand what are your goals, aside from growing your business. Are you targeting the right kind of customer, or right audience, and finding the customers that you want for your business?
What and again, other than of course the trend in the change in the name, you've been doing this a long time. Like, what kind of trends are you noticing right now in the industry that excite you?
I would say over the last year, what I've noticed was a lot more folks that we've engaged with, companies that we've engaged with, are turning more to search engine optimization. It's something that's kind of had fallen off a little bit, at least from my point of view. And I think partly that was, maybe it was pandemic driven. I'm not sure, but hey, we really need to understand what's happening with the organic traffic to our site, and maybe not sure if they're going to spend the same amount of budget on paid media. And then I think with some of the challenges that have gone on with the iOS updates and not being able to fully track through on different paid platforms, social media, Facebook, etc. They're focused, I want to own the content. I want to own the experience with my customer and customer first through their own website. And the other part that we've really noticed the trend is, I think the majority of our projects last year our new projects were all data science, data analytics driven, where customers really wanted to have a clear view of performance through all channels, including so making sure that they could backfill the offline sales data into the dashboard they would build for their leadership teams, so they could have that full transparency on performance.
So going a little bit deeper into the idea of paid media, what are some of the key parts that people should and organization leaders should consider when trying to either improve the cost of customer acquisition or even just to measure it?
Yeah, I think the key part initially is, are you properly instrumented with each of the platforms, making sure that your tagging and reporting taxonomy is correct, so you're actually comparing apples to apples across different channels. That's typically where we start, just to see what the read on performance currently is. And then from there, it's an understanding of, what does your ideal customer look like? What does that audience look like, and where are they spending their time? And then putting together a strategy for those clients and helping them acquire those customers.
What are some, and I know the answer to this question, by the way, is going to vary based on business, size of business, tenure, how long they've been in business, all those things. But I do know you've been in this business a long time, and certain themes tend to arise over time when you're working with more and more clients. So what are some of those common mistakes that you find sometimes when you bring on a new client, or opportunity areas? We don't have to use the word mistakes, but what are those common opportunity areas you find when you're onboarding new clients that kind of come up like over and over again?
Yeah, typically we're brought on for, we'll be brought on for a paid media engagement. That's typically where we first engage with a client. And it's very clear early on that there aren't proper setups in place for the tracking and analytics piece. And then the other part is the website. Typically they've done a website redesign, or they're going to do one, and SEO has kind of taken the back seat, and it becomes, I call it janitorial SEO, where you're cleaning up afterwards instead of working proactively. So
been there, done that. We might be doing that right now that I think about it. Patrick, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Sometimes I feel like, I'm the painter on the block, and my house is the last to get painted, so I understand that. But that's typically something where we come in to do, like, hey, we need help with paid search, we need help with paid social, and then it becomes an overall look at your holistic paid media strategy and what's going on with your content strategy or SEO, and kind of just diving into that piece of it as well.
So I like to try to provide especially on our marketing show, just, a starting point for some people, because there's some people listening to this right now that, they have successful businesses, they're making money, and and some of the stuff that we talk about, they listen to this show just because they're like, they need ideas, and maybe they know, SEO, all these other things that they know that they should be doing or not doing, and it's like you said, the janitorial side, like it's in the back of their mind. What are some, like, for somebody that's a little bit behind on most of this digital marketing stuff, like what are some of the things that they should think of as kind of like the low-hanging fruit, like a starting point? Because it's overwhelming to think, especially if you haven't gone down that path. What are some of those basics that people should be thinking about getting out of the way as a primary thing?
Now, are you talking specifically for search engine optimization, organic search, or are you talking
for paid media specifically? For paid media specifically, yes.
Yeah, I think for paid media specifically, understanding what your target acquisition cost is going to be. There's been plenty of times where that's unknown, and it's kind of doing a 90-day test to figure out what that looks like, because there hasn't been any rigor in place with the client to look at that in the past, or it's that we're literally setting up for the first time a Google and Bing search account, and there is no history to go off of from paid acquisition, and they really don't have a good idea of what that looks like. So understanding, I think, what your goal or what your estimated cost per acquisition is going to be, or what you're comfortable with in order to target it. And second, if you already have an account in there, I think it's making sure that your paid search campaigns are properly organized for optimization of of your overall campaign. And one area we typically see is there's just not a lot of rigor around negative keywords. You may be pulling in terms from other industries that are driving some of your click costs way up.
And I wanted you to give a little bit of hope to those listening that are in that first camp that you mentioned that don't even have the account set up. So, okay, yes, you have to set a benchmark. You have to start getting it set up, and it's going to take a little time to collect some data. But what can it look like after they go through that process? And I don't mean earning potential. I just mean like their life. Like it gets easier. Can you tell us what that other side looks like?
What the other side looks like? I think what the other side is, if you're working with the right consultant or the right agency, you're going to have some good templates in place and some hopefully good strategies and tactics that will lead you to a methodical growth approach. So you can't expect to go in month 1 or month even 3 of I need to spend as much as I can in order to get the. It's really taking that slower approach. At least that's what I recommend to most clients. If I look at it, if I'm spending my own money, I want to make sure that I am properly targeting the audience and converting the right customer, and making sure that we take those learnings and reapply them properly.
That's well said, Patrick. I just like letting people know that if done right, like it feels good to be on the other side. Everybody's got to go through some point in their business of growth. If they don't start out this way, by the way, if that's not their background and they're maybe selling something that's not in the digital space, so maybe they're a little bit behind on that end for whatever reason. But like once you get to the other side and you have some things figured out and maybe you're getting some progress or some traction, it's like the gates open up. Now all those things, all those podcasts, all those shows you're listening to, now you're speaking the language, you get it, you're up to speed. I like to say it's kind of like, when you first started your business and you were learning a little bit more about the accounting side if you didn't go to school for it, right? At first it's kind of like it might be a little intimidating, but then once you get used to the financials, you understand it, like it starts speaking to you. And in my experience with the digital marketing side, like I was behind on that and maybe more adept in the financial side based on my background, but as I got further and further along, it's like the digital media part started speaking to me, even though that wasn't my primary focus. So that's what I always tell business owners. I'm like, might be a little scary at first. If you're working with the right team, the right agency, and you start seeing some progress, it gets easier and you get to understand it more, just like as you grew your business, you understood that more.
Yeah, and I would say the other thing to really consider if you are just starting out in your paid media approach is don't stretch yourself too thin across multiple channels or platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Try to understand where your audience and customers are and focus on optimizing that channel first. And then as you're growing, expand into those other channels. So I'm not saying you can't do paid search and paid social together, but if your budget is limited, I would, typically say, at least from the types of companies that we've worked with in B2B for SaaS, is, look at the paid search. Is that fully optimized? Are you getting as much impression share as you can and converting the right customers in that channel before you start, investing a ton in other platforms if you don't really understand how your customers are converting. Yes, you can test. I'm always for testing, but just make sure you're not spreading yourself too thin and not getting enough results, or it's taking too long to get the clear direction from the data on what optimizations need to be made, because you're just not, you've got yourself spread too thin.
That's great. Well, Patrick, I'll tell you, it has been a pleasure connecting with you and learning more about what you do at Motoz Digital Media. If somebody's listening to this right now and they want to connect with you and your team, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, the best way would probably go to our website, motozdigital.com, and you can click there's a learn more free consultation button on there, and we can get in touch that way. Or if you'd like to connect with me directly, you can just go to LinkedIn and find me there, Patrick Lundbom.
Fantastic. Well, Patrick, again, awesome having you on the show today. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button, especially if you're a first-time listener or visitor. We have many more mission-based entrepreneurs, executives, and experts coming up for you, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Patrick, it really has been a pleasure. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Adam.